Okay,
Recording.
recording.
There you go.
Now I'll turn the meeting over to Ashely Gagne, Supervisor at West Goshen Township.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Ashely Gagne. As Jim mentioned, I am Supervisor in West Goshen, and I'm also the Board Liaison for our new Sustainability Advisory Committee. I just want to welcome you all here tonight. Thank you, Jim, for asking me to open up this meeting. It's an honor. And on behalf of our entire board at West Goshen, I want to welcome you to the second public meeting to discuss the Westchester Area Clean Energy Future Campaign, a joint initiative on behalf of the Westchester Area Council of Governments, also known as the COG. This presentation was developed by the Clean Energy Future Steering Committee, which is made up of representatives from the EACs and the SACs of each of the participating municipalities. Tonight, you're going to hear from many of these committee representatives as they address the various components of the residential module in the Clean Energy Future campaign. The mostly volunteer steering committee has put a tremendous time and effort into developing materials, including the Clean Energy Future website. So please join me in thanking this team, and we invite you to volunteer with them as we continue this engagement with the greater Westchester community.
All right, thank you very much, Ashely. We held our first public meeting in January, hosted by East Goshen Township. The meeting was a kickoff introduction to the Clean Energy Future campaign in general. You can find a recording of that meeting on the Clean Energy Future website, which is down in the left-hand corner there, WCACOG.org. A quick recap. Next slide, please, Jim. A quick recap. The Clean Energy Future campaign is divided into 6 modules. The core modules are the 4 in the middle: residential, education, small business, and corporate or big business. Tonight, we'll be drilling into information and opportunities specifically for the residential sector or of the greater Westchester area. We're defining residential as homeowners and renters of all income levels, homeowner associations, landlords, housing developers, public housing centers, and off-campus student housing. Today, we're going to try something a little different. We'll spend the first 20 minutes or so walking through the broader picture of the energy demographics for residents in the Westchester area. Then talk about the 3 steps, which is a recurring theme in all of our messaging. Then we'll talk about some of the tools we plan to use to engage with various stakeholder groups in the residential sector, and perhaps you'll see something that you'd like to get involved in. And then in the second half of the hour, we will split into 3 Zoom rooms to hear from 3 knowledgeable speakers about specific opportunities to reduce, electrify, and transition. You'll be able to choose whichever room you'll like to join. Don't worry about missing out on the rooms that you won't be in. We plan to host the same program again on Thursday, June 3rd, where you'll be able to join a different room. And we'll be recording this whole program, except for the PICO section, on the Clean Energy Future website, where you can view it at your convenience. And we are streaming the main room of this meeting to the Sustainable Westchester Facebook page. This is Caroline. Caroline's on mute.
Sorry, no, Jim, this is not my slide.
Christy, sorry.
Christy? Oh, I'm sorry. So I'll do it. I told Christy Caroline was doing it. I was wrong. Just quickly, the reasons that we're doing this all together are basically climate change, right? Local and global impacts of climate change, and of course, clean air and clean water, the pollution aspects of burning fossil fuels. And then clean energy jobs will come. That's kind of the premise, is as we add more distributed clean energy from wind and solar, we can get more workers involved in our local community. So now this is back to me. Just a recap from our intro presentation in January. The Cabinet's report illustrates what our energy profile looks like in the Westchester area. Roughly split between three major sectors: residential buildings, transportation and commercial. Within these three sectors, we can see what kinds of energy we use. Fuel oil in yellow, fracked gas in blue, gasoline in gray, and electricity in green. Today, we're focusing on the residential building sector as well as the portion of the transportation sector that is impacted by our residents, so commuting and personal travel. Another way to look at our energy profile is by energy source, which is roughly split equally between gasoline, gas and oil used for heating, and electricity. Oh, did I hit that too many times? There. Sorry. So today we're focusing on the, sorry, another way. Yes. Then within the electricity piece, the source of energy is split between nuclear, fracked gas, and coal, and less than 2% comes from renewable energy sources right now. This is why we are here today, to talk about what we as residents of the Westchester area can do to change the percentages in these charts. Make the electricity pie be 100% from renewable sources, and that's transition, and make the electricity sector bigger in the overall energy pie, and that's electrify. Now this is Caroline, right?
Yes, it is. So Clean Energy Future has identified 3 steps that you can take to help us achieve the goal of 100% renewable energy. And the first step is reduce, and that simply means reducing the amount of energy that we use. The second step is electrify, and this means converting all non-renewable energy sources to electricity. And the third step is transition, and this is where we're going to change all the sources of electricity from fossil fuels to the renewable energy sources.
Thanks, Caroline. So based upon the prior slides, it should be clear that in order to obtain the Westchester area's goal of getting to 100% renewable energy, we need to take the steps to reduce our overall energy usage. This can encompass changing our buildings to be more efficient, purchasing energy efficient appliances, replacing our HVAC systems and internal combustion engines to all electric vehicles. However, the most important first step every homeowner can take is to have an energy assessment, which measures your energy usage. If we don't measure and then know our energy usage, we can't determine if it is getting better or worse. So the best action you can take right now is to attend the reduced session hosted by Mike Schneller, who will be going over Pico energy assessments. Once you have an energy assessment, you'll have the necessary information on your energy usage. If you take the steps recommended in the energy assessment to reduce your energy usage, you will save money. And this action will help the Westchester area reach their goal of 100% renewable energy through the first step, reducing energy usage. Again, Mike Schneller will be going over the Pico energy assessment in the reduce breakout session if you are interested. For more detailed information and to see an example of an energy assessment that was performed on one of our committee members' house and see payback, see our website below at wcacog.org/reduce.
Hello again. So we have a short list of reminders for you tonight in the category of energy reduction to help you determine the best transitional steps to becoming more energy efficient. In addition to the Pico energy assessment Brian just told us about, we also recommend a self-assessment by analyzing your energy bills for the past year to determine patterns from season to season and from month to month. Here are also some practical steps we can all take as well. So let's try to use our washers and dryers during off-peak hours, especially at night. Let's hang our clothes up to dry and minimize our dryer usage. We know some communities have restrictions on hanging clothes outside, but we can still hang them up inside. We can also use a cold water cycle instead of a hot one for our washers whenever possible. We can unplug our appliances when away for a day or longer. And we can use our toaster ovens rather than our larger ones for cooking when possible. Next slide. We can lower our blinds on the sunny side of our apartments and homes during the hottest months. And if our homes have multiple floors, we can adjust our usage patterns to opposite seasons. In my house, that's a difference of more than 10 degrees between the top floor and the bottom. So we sleep on the lowest floor in the summer and the top floor in winter. We can use rechargeable lawn and garden equipment instead of gas or propane powered tools. These include weed whackers, trimmers, clippers, etc. And small yards can still use the non-motorized mowers. And very importantly, we can replace some of our grassy areas on our lawns with native plantings, and we can then stop mowing them completely. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. Now we're going to do the first of our engagement polls. Melanie's going to drop in our first poll, which is about what is keeping me from making my home more energy efficient? Click all that apply. And I encourage anybody, all of our presenters to participate as well. Is it because I'm a renter? I don't know what my return on investment will be. I don't know how long I'll be in this house. The sticker price of new windows and HVAC appliances. I like my 15 mile per gallon car or truck or something else. And I'm hoping this is a conversation starter in the reduced breakout room as well. We'll wait just a couple more seconds for the bars to stop changing. Okay. Okay, Mel, show us what we got. Very good. I don't know what the ROI will be as the winner. Okay, let's move on.
The second step in the transition to renewable energy is to convert from fossil fuel for home heating for home appliances such as clothes dryers, hot water heaters and stoves, and cars, and power these directly by electricity. For home heating, the modern heat pump is both quiet and efficient, and not only heats your living space in the winter, but also cools it in the summer. When replacing your gas-fired appliances, consider switching to electric appliances that can run on renewable sources of energy. And as with all appliances, invest in high efficiency appliances. You will save money in the long run. And please look at our website for lots of additional information on appliances. And when buying a new car, consider an electric vehicle. It could be a fully battery-powered car or a hybrid plug-in electric vehicle. Their life cycle costs are competitive with internal combustion engine cars and are getting less expensive all the time. There is also much more choice now than before. Next slide. An electric heat pump is way cheaper to run than oil or propane fired furnaces, and is roughly the same cost as gas. And it is not your 1970s heat pump that stops heating at temperatures less than 30 degrees. Heat pumps today have variable speed motors that achieve excellent efficiencies down to -7 degrees Fahrenheit. When your furnace dies in the depth of winter, be ready to consider an electric heat pump rather than just replacing the existing furnace with another one. Heat pumps generate less greenhouse gases with our current mix of electricity and will generate almost no emissions as we convert to renewable sources of electricity. And don't forget the rebates available from PECO. Next slide. The electric heat pump can exchange its heat with the outside air, and that's known as an air source heat pump, or with the ground, and this is known as a geothermal heat pump. So when considering a heat pump for your home, should you invest in an air source heat pump or a geothermal heat pump? As shown in an analysis on our website, a geothermal heat pump would be better an investment for the long term if conditions are for your property are right. Otherwise, an air source heat pump may be preferable. Next slide. Another great option is to install a ductless mini-split heat pump in a portion of your home, especially if you have no other option except for oil or propane. I installed 2 of them in separate parts of my house and heat with them with my oil furnace as a backup. They were relatively easy to install, and I eliminated 80% of our oil bill. It saved us hundreds of dollars per year. And when or if we sell our house, these reduced energy costs will be of interest to the buyer.
Okay, another poll about electrifying your home. What is keeping me from electrifying my heating? Click all that apply. The sticker price of a new HVAC system. I don't know how long I'll live in my house. I prefer gas heat or some other reason. Yeah, it looks like we need to do some more education about long-term cost of ownership, life cycle cost of ownership. We will do that. Okay, Eric, EVs.
All right, so transitioning now to electrifying your cars, let's talk about electric vehicles. And so, there's definitely some different dimensions with costs, but talking about the daily operating costs. So like, how much it costs to put fuel in your car and generally, how much it costs, when you're at the shop. Electric vehicles tend to cost far less to operate and repair than their gas counterparts. You can see this in our graph that we got from Consumer Reports, although there's many other studies just like it, but this one is very easy to read. Really graphs like this show that the longer you have an electric vehicle, the more you're going to save compared to if you had a standard gas vehicle. And these savings can help mitigate some of the higher upfront costs that are current with electric vehicles. And these upfront costs can really be a significant barrier for people. And as upfront costs continue to drop, which we'll talk about in a second, they become a clearer economic choice, especially when we're considering, the long-term costs. So what I want you to take away from this slide, right, is that electric vehicles tend to cost far less than gas vehicles to operate, day in and day out. And next slide. Okay, and so now with regard to the upfront cost, the sticker price that we've been talking about, this is perhaps like the biggest barrier for electric vehicles for a lot of people, right? And this may not be so much of a barrier because we've really seen electric vehicles drop in price over the past few years. And a big reason for this is because of advancements in battery technology, the big lithium ion batteries that power the car. We can make batteries now much cheaper and on a much larger scale than we did a decade ago. I don't know if anyone's heard of any of the new projects. There's like the Gigafactory from Tesla, and there's a few others. And really we're expecting the next decade to fare out similarly. And resultantly, we expect prices to continue to drop. The lower the upfront cost barrier, the more feasible electric cars will be for more Americans. And as we get there, if electric vehicles are currently out of your, like a new electric vehicle is currently out of your budget, you could consider used electric vehicles. They tend to hold their value very well, and, it could really be a good investment for your family. They don't have to be very expensive. A family member of mine just purchased a used electric vehicle for, a few $1,000s, like a few $1,000s, and so electric vehicles, really, that barrier of cost is really coming down, and they're much more feasible for many people. And so for me personally, I would not be surprised if the first purchase I made of a car, like on my own, is a used electric vehicle.
Okay, so let's talk about the obstacles to getting more electric vehicles in our community. Mel, you want to drop this poll in?
Yes, it's being a little glitchy for a second. Give me 1 second.
Did I mention this is an all-volunteer crew here? Please don't expect professional. There we go. So what's keeping me from choosing an electric vehicle for my next car? Click all that apply. All right, sticker price. I can't charge at home. I can't charge at work. Range anxiety. I can't get to where I want to go on a trip, or something else. You like burning fossil fuels. Oh, or I already have an electric vehicle. Perhaps many on this call already do. Okay, range anxiety. We need more chargers and more fast chargers. Let's keep going at 6:26.
So the final step for Westchester area residents towards our goal of 100% renewable energy is transition. The options within this step are: option 1 is to switch your generation costs to a 100% renewable electricity supplier. It's also one of the lowest costs. You can choose wind or solar electricity generated right here in Pennsylvania to offset your usage. Rooftop solar is another option. Residents can take 3 directions. You can purchase, lease, or obtain a power purchase agreement. Another option, community solar. Not interested in putting solar panels on your own roof? Community solar or subscribing to a solar garden in your area hopefully will be available soon in Pennsylvania. Our last recommended option is to join us in the transition breakout room. I and Nino Ravel, Director of Solarize Southeast PA, will be presenting there. Next slide. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to play this video on this slide deck. So the video on this slide is one that explains the details behind solar savings from one of our committee's volunteers who installed rooftop solar back in 2017. For those of you interested in pursuing solar options, as I just mentioned in the last slide, the transition breakout session will be reviewing how you can obtain information and a general assessment of your property before you begin obtaining bids from solar vendors. You can also view this short video in this slide on the Solarize website. It's listed down below in the bottom left-hand corner. There are some very good ROIs shown in this video. So if you're interested, please attend the transition breakout session and go back and take a look at the video.
Yes. So quickly, what's keeping us from putting solar on our roofs? Why haven't I considered rooftop solar? It's not appropriate for my house, or I don't know if it is. I don't know where to get started. The upfront costs are too high. Maybe the technology will be better next year. Pico might charge me an upgrade for local transformers. or something else like I already have solar on my roof. All right, so that's a good discussion point, and I think Kelly, you get into that of why, if solar is not appropriate for your roof, how do you still get into solar?
Okay, so I would just like to finish up with what the Westchester area, both municipalities and townships, are currently doing and hope to continue in the future. You might have noticed there are many public EV charging stations, especially at grocery stores, and it's anticipated that grocery stores will actually provide incentives to shop there because of their EV charging stations, much of which are free. We will be hosting renter landlord engagement sessions. So if you are a renter and you think these programs are only for homeowners, I ask you to stay tuned. We spoke already about SolSmart and Solarize Greater Westchester, so I'll just briefly gloss over them. Green building permits. You probably know that solar permitting is one of the biggest challenges to solar growth at the local level. Across the 18,000 local jurisdictions in the US, the solar permitting process differs greatly and is often, very expensive, time-consuming, and outdated. So by implementing a streamlined and more standardized permitting process, local governments can make installing solar faster, easier, and more affordable for their staff, local residents, businesses, and solar companies. Next slide, please. The Westchester Area Clean Energy Future in particular plans to meet with homeowner associations in the near future, engage builders of new homes to invest in sustainable practices. And the incentive there is that new homeowners will actually save money by using builders that promote these practices. We will also host a variety of different workshops on how to solarize, in addition to the PICO workshops, the energy home assessments that Brian spoke of earlier, as well as HVAC options in the near future. One of the most exciting, I think, is talking to employers about a workplace charging challenge. It's been documented in various studies that an employee with access to workplace charging is 6 times more likely than the average worker to drive electric. So the US Department of Energy put this into place, I want to say somewhere around 2014. So you can check that out. So we hope to talk to employers about implementing that challenge with their employees. And then lastly, we of course will work with the local EACs and SACs in the Westchester area. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. We're just 2 minutes behind. So now we're gonna jump into the breakout rooms. Here's how it's gonna work. I hope I updated this slide. You should be able to see a button on your screen that says join room. Go ahead and join wherever you like. If you don't see the option because you might not have the right version of Zoom on your device, let me know and I can help assign you. So the Electrify room with Kelly is going to stay in this main room, but the breakout room for Reduce with Mike Schneller from PICO and Transition, talk about Solarize, are going to have their own breakout rooms.
So thank you. We want to thank all of you for participating in this orientation today. And to wrap up, we want to share some key takeaways that we're hoping you'll leave with. And the first one is we hope you'll leave with some really concrete steps to make your own home more comfortable, safer, and healthier by making the transition to renewable energy. Slide, please. We also really hope that you can see that in addition to improving your own home, we all commit to transitioning to renewables. And when we do that, there are substantial and really lasting co-benefits. As we clean the air, we improve our health. When we get better health outcomes, we reduce our medical costs. By installing all this new equipment, as we replace our old equipment, will create job growth, and it will support the local and the national economy. We can actually lower our maintenance costs when we do this transition. We can increase our resilience to extreme weather, which we're seeing more and more of. We can protect the integrity of our water systems, and we can reduce the risk for fires and explosions from fossil fuels. Next slide. So just for fun, we've created an acrostic poem to make it really easy to remember the basic steps that you can take to protect your health and to do your part. So the word is share. S is for solarize, to produce your own electricity. I'm a grandmother, it's rubbing off here. H for the HVAC replacement plan, to create more felicity. A is for an energy audit and appliances with the Energy Star. R for buying renewable electricity from near, i.e. in Pennsylvania or nearby, and not far. And E is for selecting an EV for your next car. So remember, share, and you're ready to get started. Next slide. For those of you who joined us tonight who have already taken some of these steps, we would love to encourage you to share your experience with your neighbors by becoming an ambassador. We are building a team of local ambassadors who are willing to share their hands-on experience and lessons learned with their neighbors. On the other hand, if this is new to you and you would like to consult with an ambassador, let us know. We'll pair you up with someone who can answer your questions and point you in the right direction.
You giving out t-shirts, Paula?
That's a great idea. The fall coming up is a great time to learn more. There's a Chester County Clean Energy Tour. It's our 3rd year, and it's also Drive Electric Week at the end of September and in early October. This year it will be a virtual tour again, so you don't even have to drive anywhere. And we are right now seeking virtual tour candidates to register over the next month. So if you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. And this, our local Clean Energy Future campaign, is really just getting started. So as we grow, if you're connected to a faith community, you have a friendly workplace, you belong to a club or a community group, please consider inviting us to come and share the many opportunities that are going to keep evolving for a cleaner, safer, healthier future for everyone. So if you want to get in touch with us, please use this contact form, which is on the screen. Use this to give us some feedback about tonight, to become an ambassador, or to connect with one. And if you can even imagine, you're one of those folks who's done something, if you can imagine being a host for a virtual tour and you want to register and get oriented about how it works, you'll be able to go to the Chester County Clean Energy Tour on the National Solar Tour site. I don't think it's up yet, but it will be. But you can contact us if you're interested in registering. They're waiting to post for another month, I think. So we hope to see you again. Thanks you so much for coming today.
Okay, great. Big round of applause, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us through a few rocky places. And I am going to stop the recording.